Hey guys, so we're going to be practicing a kind of a V-up exercise. This is for basically returning back into crunching or doing a sit-up. We've been taught and told, probably postpartum, and especially if we have any sort of diastasis, that we're not allowed to do crunches. But if you think about it, we do crunches all day long. Whether it's to kind of bend forward to pick up my kiddo or like to pick up some laundry, like we're always technically giving a little bit of a crunch. We're not meant to be like really static stiff people our whole life. So it is important to get back into some of these kind of crunching type of exercises, but it can be very hard to be able to just go right into a sit-up right after, right? Or even months after. It can be really hard and feel weak to do that. So instead of going into these crunches, we can work towards them by doing kind of this like V-sit kind of an idea. So basically what we're gonna be doing is sitting up in this sort of a position and leaning back. We're gonna do some different variations with our feet here. A few things to take note of. Sometimes your hip flexors will want to take over. So if you're like doing any of this and you're like, oh my God, I'm just feeling it a ton here, then, so basically I'm sitting like this, you can externally rotate your legs or abduct them. It's technically external rotation, so you can kind of be in this sort of a position doing some of the movements, and that'll oftentimes kick out those hip flexors a little bit more. So either way, or even up. Another thing, I want you to think about sitting on your sit bones. So I am trying to get us out of just being here. I want you to think like you are kind of coming up, stacking the rib cage over the pelvis as much as we can here. And then from this position, I am thinking of that inhale, lower hip bones coming in towards each other as I go to lean back. You're gonna get the little shaky shakes, and then you can exhale to come back up. Or you can inhale through the whole thing. So it could look like this, where I'm inhaling as I go back, taking a break when I'm back, and then inhaling, exhaling as I come back forward. So I'm inhaling here, exhale, kick on, staying back. So I'm doing 2 breaths with that one, or I could do 1 breath. Either or is fine. So you can work here about 10 reps of these, where you're working on coming back to where you feel comfortable going, making sure you're still having that connection in the front, and then leaning back forward to come back up. You could have the legs out to do this. You could have the legs straight to do this. This actually feels really good for me. I feel like my hips stay out of it the most when I'm back here. So just some different things to try. You can also make this a little bit more challenging by lifting up a leg. So we're gonna go back into that V again, kind of leaning back, connection with the core. And you can lift up one leg. So now I'm just staying back, lifting one leg at a time. So nothing's moving here except for my hips moving. I can come up with both. Tap one leg down. This is another way to advance. This is even harder. Feels a lot in my core, a little bit in my hips. Keeping that core connection going the whole time. So that's how you can progress it. You can also add in a rotational component. So if you have like a yoga block or something pretty light, and just to give you some feedback, you can kind of come back into that first position here where we have those legs bent. Again, you can straighten them out this way too. So we're in that position. I'm coming back. Once I'm there, I'm gonna add a rotate, both directions, and come back up. Exhale, hip bones in, lower core on, rotate. I can stay back here. Just rotate each direction there, come back up. So the whole intention and goal of that one is, as I'm rotating, I'm focusing on pulling that rib cage down and in just a little bit, slightly, without necessarily just arching down this way. So I'm staying up, rotate, getting those upper obliques kicking on as well. So those are all ways that you can do a V up kind of sit up. Ultimately, you can slowly work we can go back farther if you're getting pressure into that abdominal area. You have to hold your breath. You can't feel that lower core kicking on, then modify it and either sit up farther. You can make sure to keep the feet down versus having them like lifted, like this is you know, I could be here, but I don't have to be. So like this could be, if I'm here and I'm bulging or I'm feeling that happening, then I could just be here and working a little bit here. So I'm starting to get into some sit-ups there. Again, if you're feeling pressure, leakage, pelvic pressure, pain, then modify the exercise and work your way up to about 2 sets of 10 of those. And then you can kind of move on to the next there. And you should be getting that lower core and some of those obliques kicking on with rotating. So next time someone says, or you hear you can't rotate or sit up, remember that it is very, we need to, they're functional movements we do all day long. We just need to make sure that we know that what we're doing with our breath and kicking on those core muscles before we just go into the movement. All right, hope you found this helpful.